Today I want to talk about something very important, something that I used to think was optional. Now, for basically my whole entire life until I would say late last year, I was the type of guy that would look at a lack of sleep like a badge of honor. Never have believed in excuses, whether it's me in the boxing ring, in the business world, any aspect of life really. And a lack of sleep I would always just look at as an excuse. It doesn't really matter what comes your way, even if it's a lack of sleep, if it means no sleep. The only thing that matters is getting the job done. And that's been my whole mindset basically my entire life. 4 to 5 hours a night, I would grind out a full hard day's work and I would train extremely hard. I would put that down to my strong mindset. But the reality is in life, everything eventually catches up with you. And lack of sleep is no different. Getting older in life, you work more. One thing I know for sure now is an extra 2-3 hours every single night literally improves every single aspect of your life. And most people, myself included, have neglected that. What made me change my mind was really my last fight. I lost the fight by decision, and after that, I knew that I had to make a change. I had to make a lifestyle change. Now, I have a few businesses that I run online, as well as working full time. So, training extremely intense, high level training with boxing. My energy levels were completely fried. I'd end up taking days off training because I just, physically couldn't do it. Just worn out, and I've never really felt that way when I was younger. But now, when my body's older, I'm in my 30s, I definitely feel it. And not just my energy, my mindset, I would say around 2 p.m. every single day, I would feel lethargic and I would find it hard to even concentrate. My testosterone levels have always been quite high, and overall my health is very good. I don't abuse drugs or alcohol. My diet's good. I'm in shape. I knew that ultimately rest was the ultimate factor. Now again, this is nothing that I didn't know, but I didn't know just how productive I would be with an extra 3-4 hours sleep. Sleep is like, it's a reset button, It resets you mentally and physically. As far as a physical standpoint, that's when your muscles recover from rest. I'm someone that's always been into biohacking, always been into supplementation. But the one thing that I've been neglecting basically was the most important thing, and that's sleep. Now, if you're like I was, cutting corners on sleep for productivity reasons, you're literally robbing yourself. Gains, energy, and for me, the main thing, focus. You may not have the deprivation effects yet. If you're young, trust me, I understand. But everything catches up to you eventually. Even the young ones watching deal with this, Maybe I was just different, but everything catches up to you eventually. If you got a crazy schedule, sometimes it's not as easy as just putting your head on the pillow and getting more rest. When I first started getting in bed early and I said I'm going to start getting more sleep, I would get into bed and I would close my eyes. My body was tired, but my mind would stay wide awake. And, I really didn't get any rest at all. I really didn't know what was going on. I was staying in the cycle of deprivation, even though I tried getting to bed earlier, tried increasing my hours, but my body just wouldn't rest. My mind would just stay awake at night. I even went as far as getting sleeping pills, Xanax, I started taking things like that, but, you can't really rely on things like that. It's very bad for your body. That type of stuff catches up to you as well. You get come downs, you get reliant on it. I definitely don't recommend something like sleeping pills or taking Xanax. And one side effect with taking things like that is throughout the day, if you take it often, it makes you drowsy throughout the day. And that pretty much negates the whole point of more sleep. So this is how I fixed my sleep. This is how I went from a solid 4 hours to 7-8 hours deep sleep every night. The first tip, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this one, but you must get sunlight. Sunlight's very important. Of course, sun is free. It's free to step out in the sun. But one thing that works just as good, if not better, is red light therapy. Although that costs money. If you don't have that type of money, then stick with just getting out in the sun. One thing sunlight does is it doesn't really trick, but it affects your nervous system and lets your brain know that it's daytime. So when you're lying down in bed at nighttime, your brains are going to know in the morning you had sunlight, so it's time for sleep. Rewires your nervous system into going to bed at the right time. It relaxes you, and it's one of the main things that set your circadian rhythm straight. Now, the second tip. Now, this is a hard one. This is one that I found trouble with initially, but no blue screens before bedtime. I would say about an hour before bedtime. No going on your laptop, no going on your phone, no blue light that's going to affect your eyes and make you stay up in the night. Blue light is the enemy. TVs, laptops, your phone, they all mess with a particular hormone in your body called melatonin. Now, if you're like me and the majority of your work entails looking at a screen and you're always working, even, right before you go to bed, you're working. I worked out eventually that at least 1 hour before bed, no blue light, and you'll be fine having a deep sleep. Try and do most of your work, phone, laptop, whatever it is, in the morning or afternoon. You don't have to do this. I didn't do this. If you want to even improve, 1 hour before bedtime, no blue lights, get some blue light blocking glasses. They're very cheap. They're like $30. You can get them online, and put that on an hour before bed, cut it out, and you won't get any interference with the melatonin. The third tip I have is a very important one as well. Time your meals. Do not eat a massive meal before bedtime. Your body cannot digest food and sleep deeply at the same time. In order to properly digest your food, it takes about 3 hours. So try 3 hours before bedtime. You can eat big, but after that, don't eat nothing. Now, I know some of you guys are bodybuilders and you have to, hit a certain calorie amount every single day for gains, and you have to squeeze in as many meals as you can, basically. So only to those types that are trying to gain muscle, gain weight, I'd recommend, in that 3 hour period before bed that I said don't eat. If you do have to eat, just make sure those meals are protein heavy. Don't eat no carbs. Don't eat nothing high in fat. Just keep it to protein. A few chicken breasts before bed, a protein shake should be okay. But if you can, avoid food altogether 3 hours before bedtime. The fourth tip, you have to keep a sleep-friendly environment. So one thing is, when you sleep in, your room should be cool and everything should be very dark. There should be no light at all. Cool and dark. No light is self-explanatory. There shouldn't be any light in your room. If there's any lingering lights in the house, you should be covering that up. If you got curtains, a window to your bed and street lights are coming in, you should figure out a way to, cover your window at nighttime. Literally no light in the room. Absolute darkness is what you want. Of course, sometimes that's unavoidable. So what you can do is get a sleeping mask or a blindfold. As far as the temperature goes, it's scientifically proven that the body falls asleep deeper under cooler temperatures. So just like the sun affects your circadian rhythm, so does temperature. So you want to make sure your body is cool. That way it's going to affect your nervous system and body. We're naturally hot beings, so you want to make sure the body's cool so it relaxes. I definitely don't recommend doing this, but I keep the aircon on all night. Now, my electricity bill is kind of crazy. 6-figure type numbers with my electricity bill. So I definitely don't recommend doing that. To me, it's worth it. I live in a very hot place. If you don't live in a hot place, if you live in a cool country or a cool, place, city, whatever it is, then you're lucky. If you live in a hot area, then I would recommend getting a fan at least. Open the window, do what you can, just try and stay cool. Now, you should be doing all of those things, but to get you started, there's some supplements that I recommend. Now, these are supplements, all natural. They're not sleeping pills, they're not drugs or anything like that. Everything I'm going to recommend here is certified, safe for your body. No come downs, nothing like that. You don't need a prescription for anything I'm going to recommend, and you don't need to be reliant on it, because if you do all of those behavior tips that I told you, you should be sweet. But these are just a little something extra. The top 5 that I recommend, these 4 supplements can be taken separately. They can be taken all together in small doses, but these are the ones I recommend. Magnesium threonate, magnesium glycinate, L-theanine, and apigenin is the 4th one. So those 4 supplements I gave you definitely going to work, but the best one, so I didn't mention, so there's 5 all up, is melatonin. This one you want to use sparingly. You don't want to use all the time. You don't want to use every single day. You definitely want to keep to the recommended dosage as well. Melatonin is something that it's powerful. It 100% will get your body back on track. Once you're sleeping good again, once your circadian rhythm is set, using those 4 tips, you should be sweet. You don't need to take melatonin forever. I would say just, a month's worth of supply. If you're doing everything else correctly, you should be good. So that's basically it. Those are all the tips they should follow. If you got a lack of sleep, do everything I said in this video, all of those tips. Take melatonin or the other supplements I recommended, and your sleep deprivation 100% will be cured.